Good day, YouTube. This is Jay Money with Falling Forward Financial. Come across this article. It sounded kind of interesting. Talk a lot about EVs here on the channel, electric vehicles, Tesla, GM, Ford, so on, Neo, Xpeng, all of them, one way or the other. And then on the picks and shovels part of it, lithium, cobalt. Just did a video on copper in the last week or so, and thought this one was kind of interesting, but charging your EV at night is about to become more expensive. Overnight charging has always been a perk of EV ownership, but what happens when it becomes too expensive to power up in your driveway at night? As you can see, this is just out yesterday. One of the perks of EV ownership is charging your car overnight while parked in your driveway at home. Electricity demand is usually low, so rates are fairly cheap, making it both convenient and affordable for many people. But thought it was kind of an interesting study for those of you that charge at night. Everybody charges their phones at night as well, so it's just kind of a thing that people do. But the study was conducted by a team of Stanford University, published in Nature Energy, found that increasing EV ownership in the western U.S. Could lead to peak net electricity demand increases by up to 25% by 2035. The year California has said it would ban the sale of gas-powered cars and trucks, so kind of interesting. Increasing EV ownership in the western U.S. Could lead to a peak net electricity demand increases by up to 25% by 2035. Could rise as much as 50% under a stress test scenario with every vehicle on the road is a plug-in model. Team concludes. This is why I've always talked about solar here on the channel. Solar is just kind of another wave of the future. I mean, it's going to help this problem out. If it doesn't, need to find another solution. But I don't see why solar panels. I've done videos on like a carport type of that you can park underneath of, and the top is full of solar panels, and you just pull in under that and charge it. So basically charges itself during the day, and then you pull in there and charge your car at night. So kind of a interesting duo combo there, if you will. But to better prepare for the future EV, the study authors recommend vehicle owners do more daytime charging, either at work or at a public charging stations, which makes more sense if people are still driving to work. If there is a public charging, you can charge it while you're at work. Important as more renewable sources of power generation come along, including, just as I said, solar and wind power. So those might be a definite thing to keep on your radar and see if you want to invest in those, because those are just going to become more popular. In the future grid, with higher renewable generation, timing is more important, and net demand tells a very different story than total demand. Shifting drivers from home to daytime charging improves all metrics of the grid impact, including ramping use of non-fossil fuel generation, storage requirements, and emissions. To be sure that is not just a California problem, even though the state has the highest number of registered EVs on the road today, around 1 million plug-in models, or about 6% total vehicles. So you can't tell me that Elon hasn't thought of all this or read this article and is planning, something to make money off of or help this problem. So I definitely can see solar and wind power definitely helping this out. But this is funny. EV charging in the United States is broken. Can Joe fix it? Probably not. I don't think he remembers his name half the time, but Getting more drivers in the United States to switch to a plug-in power is seen as crucial in reducing pollution, reducing carbon emissions, and fighting climate change. But many challenges lie ahead. EVs are more expensive than gas-powered models, and for now harder to find. The charging infrastructure in the United States reliable and seen as a barrier to broader adoption of EVs. The Biden administration has identified charging as a unique challenge, funneling billions of dollars into projects across the country. So I've talked about the charging stations, EVgo, Fuel Cell, a couple other ones. I'll try to link those in the description as well. But there's always going to be a demand for power. Everybody's got phones, computers. There's just more stuff plugged in, using the grid more now than ever, and then add on EVs on top of that. So tend to dominate the charging companies' operating costs, further complicating the business case for building more charging stations. So I started looking at charging stations a couple years ago when I got into EVs, and it's just a wave of the future, everything that kind of goes together hand in hand. So I also did a video on tax credit on some EVs a while back. I'll link that in the description as well. And if there's any other EV, lithium, copper, cobalt, any other EV manufacturer out there you want me to take a look at, make a video, I'd be happy to do that as well. And if you haven't smashed that like button yet, go ahead and hit that for me, as well as subscribing and hit the bell so you're notified of when the next videos drop. Again, this is J Money, Falling Forward Financial. Happy trading, happy investing, stay green. Cheers.